What's up, guys? Dr. Mo here, digital nomad physician at digitalnomadphysician.com. Welcome to Napoli, Naples, Italy. And we got here last night. You can hear the background. Sort of. So we're in the Spanish Quarter, which is very exciting because it's literally that window right in front of me. I don't know if you guys can see it well. So I have one window there, and then I have another window directly in front of me with my light. This is the apartment. It's very cute. And it's like you step out there and the street is just bustling, tons of people everywhere, talking, yelling. It's very alive, very different than the other parts of Italy that we've been to, where it's actually a lot more, I want to call civilized, obviously. The whole country's pretty civilized. It's a lot of noise, but the windows are so good that it's not that bad. We got an Airbnb here. We were in Ostuni, which is south of Italy, and we've kind of taken a train and kind of come up all the way up this way. I got pretty sick, actually, just for 2 days. I got fevers, congestion. I thought I'd be out, but I recovered pretty well, and we're going to work our way back to Bologna. We're going to have an apartment in Bologna for a month, and then from there we'll see if we want to come back to Naples, to Napoli for a few more weeks. But we're only here for a few days, it looks like. We might extend it, but maybe just 3 to 4 days. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So today's episode is not going to be about Italy that much. I'm going to do a whole episode on Italy, working in Italy, living in Italy, working remotely in Italy, especially if you're interested in growing your online medical practice, your telemedicine practice, and you want to be remote, right? That's what this channel is about. I want to talk about the importance of social media, and I think social media for me is definitely something I don't want to have anything to do with. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be part of it. And yet I kind of feel it is important. That's the place that I can connect with my patients. That's the place they're going to be able to see me, interact with me, and kind of decide, hey, is Dr. Ashori the right person for me for whatever services he offers? So today is going to be a lot about that. When it comes to creating a social media strategy, you got to decide exactly who your audience is. You got to know how to portray yourself online and what it is that you got to offer someone. So social media is kind of like a billboard in many ways, but it's different because it's interactive. So if someone's going to see you online, like they're going to see Dr. Ashori, forget the people who are already popular, Dr. Hyman, Dr. Mark. These guys are already popular. It's a very different story. But for someone like me, the way I portray myself is going to make it's going to have a huge impact on the patient. So number one, how you look. So obviously I'm not the most attractive person online. And if you have that going for you, by the way, I think it's worthwhile using, because if you're attractive, if you come across well, if your voice is very soothing, the way you talk is very good, all of those things are great characteristics. And if you don't have that, it's probably worthwhile to offer something else for the patient. So here we go. Wait, I don't have my mouse. I usually have a mouse off screen that I can click, pause the video, and then restart. So bear with me. Number one, the most important thing about social media for us as physicians who have a telemedicine practice or who have an online medical practice is that we don't have signage. We don't have an office that somebody can drive by 20 times and be like, well, that's a clinic right there. Next time I'm sick, I should go there. So instead, they have to interact with us somewhere between 12 to 20 to 30 times and see us in different ways. And we have to hope that our content gets pushed to them on social media until they actually decide, oh, I've seen this guy many times. Let me now maybe even just send a comment, send something in the DM, and see what he'll say. Let's see what Dr. Ashori will say. So it's about multiple interactions with the individual until they're willing to actually do anything with us. So because we don't have the physical clinic, we do need social media. And you can't just run ads, and we'll get into that in a minute. So for us as physicians who have a telemedicine practice, who have an online medical practice, people need to understand that we're humans, we're caring, we're going to listen, we're going to offer them value always. Like, we're not just in it to make a bunch of money, we're not just trying to sell them something. And to do that, that's kind of what we call authenticity, being relatable, being professional. The way to do that is to offer more value to the patient instead of just constantly being salesy and, buy my course or become my patient. You just want to offer a lot of value. Give them a lot of information. If they ask a question, engage them. Reply back to them the best you can. Don't do it in a rush. Definitely don't do it when you're sitting in the toilet and trying to send a text message. Take your time, spend some, get an hour blocked off and just reply to these comments really well. If you don't know how to do it, use some sort of use ChatGPT or Gemini, put their question in and say, hey, give me a really good professional answer to that, and then write your own. Definitely don't copy and paste it because it will always seem very ChatGPT-ish. But just reply oh, that's really cool. I like the way I make that person feel really listened to and cared for. But that's the thing, you got to offer a lot more value. That's what social media is. You're giving a lot of information away for free. So my social media manager always tells me I gotta give 70-80% of my time that I'm online. I gotta dedicate that to giving free information to the patient, 10% to talking about my business and my entity, and 10% selling. So only 10% of selling, 10% kind of behind the scenes of hey, what do I do on a daily basis? Me cooking, me running my medical practice, but the rest of it has got to be dedicated to the patient. One of the hardest things for us as doctors is being consistent. What do I mean by that? When you're online on social media, people expect that you're going to wear essentially the same clothes, have the same kind of haircut, that you're going to display the same kind of colors, that you're going to have the same kind of lighting and even the same kind of background. You don't have to go that crazy. Obviously, my brand is very different. I'm a digital nomad. I travel all over the place. My background is going to be very different. But you can work that into your brand. You can describe that, explain that. And I think that's going to make you a lot more human. Hey guys, today I don't have good lighting. I'm here in this country in a cave. But people want to see you be professional. And one of the simplest ways of demonstrating professionalism is to talk the same way, be consistent, and address concerns in a very predictable way. For example, if somebody asks a medical question, either your stance is a very ketogenic stance, let's say, and you're always going to approach it from that keto perspective or from the vegan perspective, or you might be somebody who's ketogenic diet versus vegan diet doesn't really matter. It's about the nutrition that you get and the balance of exercise and calories that you get in, and how we balance that out with your own genetics, with your own metabolism. So it's just a consistent messaging. Also very important is that you are evidence-based. You gotta be evidence-based. Fortunately these days you can get evidence out of the evidence bank. You can go and anything keto and vegan, you can go and find a ton of articles, and it's going to be, it's going to back up any claim that you want. So that's not difficult, but try to do that. Try to be evidence-based. And these days you have Pathway, which is a great app that I use. Open Evidence, which is, they also have an app, and that's very easy to use. You have Up to Date. Those are great resources. Patients may not be very familiar with these kind of resources, but it is a perfect place to just capture some good research studies and then have these language models sort of help you derive the important content out of it and then just explain it to the patient. I'll say one more thing about professionalism. If you're someone who's going to come across as poo-pooing something, that should be your brand, that should be your identity. But remember, that's your identity and brand, and it will turn off some people who are like, why is this guy ripping on the CDC? Why is this guy ripping on this other doctor? Why is this guy showing the video of another patient or of somebody talking on social media and then ripping them apart? There's nothing wrong with that, I think, from a marketing perspective, but it will turn off some people. And it will attract certain type of people that you may or may not want. And I think that's the other piece to remember. The professionalism that you display is probably going to attract the kind of patient that you want. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. On social media, it is incredibly difficult these days to have a lot of authentic interactions, to really engage somebody one-on-one, because people get lost in the shuffle. I've talked about this for years. I don't think, when somebody messages me is like, hey, Dr. Rishori or Dr. Mo, it looks like you don't have a lot of followers on whatever channel I'm on. We can get you, 100,000 followers in the next 3 months. And my answer in my head is that, well, I don't really want 100,000 followers in the next 3 months or anytime soon, because I wouldn't be able to engage them. God forbid you actually get 100,000 or even 1 million followers. It's going to be really difficult for you to engage those people in a way that makes them feel like they're part of your brand and they buy into what you're doing. They don't want to listen to you. They're going to tune you out because you never replied to them, they remember, or you replied in a curt manner. So that's probably one of the most important aspects, is to try to find that authentic voice while engaging somebody. And that's going to come from replying to them, replying to their comments, even the direct messages that they might send you in a thoughtful way, patiently, calmly, educating them, empowering them. Empowering them is really, really important. Again, if you want the kind of patients that are empowered, I prefer that. You might want the kind of patients who are like after the next latest and greatest substance. Well, that's different. But if you engage them, if you ask thoughtful questions, that's a really good way to get those people really interested in your brand. Like, wow, that guy really messaged me back, and that's so cool. And remember, don't just do that when you're small in the beginning, because what I'm telling you is pretty consistent. Like on all the other brands like Digital Nomad Physician, I eventually grew big enough that I have plenty of people who do coaching calls with me, that I sell plenty of my online courses. So I make really good money with Digital Nomad Physician. So it's a matter of time. If you put in the time and people think you're authentic, they're going to follow you, they're going to buy from you. So don't just be, don't just be responsive in the beginning and then just fizzle out, because you're going to lose a lot of people that way. And then your brand's going to become diluted and your brand is just going to become weaker over time. So we want to create an online space on any social media platform that you choose, whatever you choose, that is warm, inviting, friendly, open, if that's what you want. And now again, that's my shtick, I suppose. There are people who can be very, kind of rough and gruff, and it still works for them. But if you're inviting, if you're open, if you're accessible, you're probably going to engage a lot more people, is what I'm trying to say. And to do that, again, interact with people, send messages back, be consistent, be professional, and choose your social media platform wisely. So for example, if you want to be on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is great because you're probably going to interact with a business owner or somebody in leadership position. So you can actually create content completely on LinkedIn that's going to speak to these people, and they might want to become one of your patients. Again, if you're going to do it that way, you still got to send the messages back, you got to interact with their comments, and you got to do all of that. If you're going to do TikTok, you're going to get younger people. There's going to be a little bit of that back and forth. If you're going to do Facebook is a great place to do testimonials for your patients. In the beginning, you're not going to have a lot of testimonials. That's totally understandable. But you can share testimonials of previous patients, maybe your success stories, and just constantly, by the way, one topic you can post 20,000 times. Social media is all about volume. So this video that I'm creating right now, I'm probably going to make 5 or 6 different versions of it. And I'm going to measure how well this video does. So what do I mean by that? You can go into your metrics. You can go on pretty much on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can go and look, how did my videos do? How did my content do? Oh, I had a lot of engagement. I had a lot of clicks. So it probably is something that people are looking for. It's probably something that people are interested in. And especially the things that people are not interested in, you might find that it's a good topic to create as well. Like they might downvote something you created. it might just mean that they have a lot of feelings and emotions, so maybe you can address it in a different way. So if they are interested in a topic, consider creating that same video with a different headline, with different content inside it, or maybe a little bit shorter or a little bit more expanded. And that's another way of really improving your social media, overall social media presence. I also want to talk about advertisements. I think that is something that I jumped into way too quickly. I hired and spent way too much money on advertisement for my Dr. Ashori brand, which used to be Heart Health Coach, by the way, for those of you who followed me for a while, which used to be Medical Health Coach before. So Medical Health Coach is the first one I created, and I started doing that on Instagram. I did a lot of both ads and posts on Instagram. This is before COVID. And then later I did Heart Health Coach because I really wanted to emphasize and focus on the health coaching part, less on the clinical medicine side. And now it's become just pure Dr. Ashori. By the way, those of you who haven't checked out my new website, go to drashori.com. That's the new website. And the idea was to combine everything together, like heart health coaching, my DPC, my direct primary care practice, and just capture the whole audience in under one umbrella. And I can do that by focusing on what it is that I want to say. But I thought that I had to spend a lot of money on advertisements. In fact, from everybody that I've talked to now and hired and the mistakes that I've made, it seems that once you gain some traction on your social media platform, it is much more likely that an advertisement campaign is going to be successful because you already have the traction. One of your posts can get pushed and you can run an ad on it based on certain keywords and measure like an A/B testing. It's not that I wasn't successful with the ads, it's just that for the money that I spent, I don't think I got a very good return on investment. I certainly lost money, is the way I would phrase it actually. But I think if I ran those ads now with some of the content that's taken off more, it's much more likely that I'm going to make money. So be cautious, and always when it comes to social media, ads and marketing, spend less money unless you're already really big. Then you got to just spend a lot of money to compete. The next thing I'll say, and I think I got to dedicate a whole video to this, is some of us, me, I just don't want to be on social media. I don't want to create content on social media. I don't like interacting on social media. So the small actionable steps that you can take today is to start writing either blog posts or articles on Substack or on Medium or on your own website blog, and create videos. And you can do that on YouTube. You can do it on Instagram. These two things create big content that you can whittle down into little pieces. So you can later hire a social media marketing expert, or you can go on Fiverr.com and say, hey, take this video, make 100 posts for me. And they're going to go in there, sit there and take your 15-minute video, and they're going to take little snippets and add other stuff to it. And now you're going to have something that you can just boom, 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 publish on social media. So create the big pieces and let somebody else worry about the small pieces. That's another way that I think for those of us like me who just don't like, for example, I can create this video, and if I had, for example, for Digital Nomad Physician, I don't have Instagram, I don't have Facebook, I don't have any of that. But if I did, somebody would sit here and take little snippets of everything that I said, and then they would add some other colorful stuff into it, and boom, they would put it on Instagram, Facebook, and out of this, 20-minute video, they could create a ton of content. So anyway, thanks for sticking around till for 20 minutes. Overall, social media, I think, is very important for us in this space as telemedicine doctors, as those of us who have a telemedicine practice. There aren't good ways of advertising our practice. I know there are companies that are popping up who say, we'll find you the patients, you come on our platform, like Sesame Care or Sesame, and there's another one, I forgot their name, Vivo Health, Vital Health. The problem with them is they take a portion of your money and you don't get to control your narrative. You don't get to control what it is that you're going to say and the kind of patients that you're going to find. On social media, the advantage is I get to say exactly the stuff that I believe in. I get to say the stuff that I believe in. I get to interact with the people that I like, and in the end, I connect with the perfect patient. And I think that's one of the things that I found out is when I get to choose my narrative and I get to interact with the person. For example, if they say, all these other doctors that I saw didn't do anything for me. Look, I'm not going to want to work with that patient. I'm a human being. I'm not going to want to work with the person who's already said all the other doctors are shitty. And I definitely don't believe I'm much better than any of the other doctors that are out there. Instead, somebody might say, hey, my doctor just retired. I really like your content, but I kind of want to make sure that it's a good fit for me. Yeah, please. It's really good to see that you want to kind of test drive someone before going with them because your health is important to you, and it sounds like you're somebody who really feels empowered to do that. Are there any specific questions? Do you want to hop on a phone call? Right? I mean, I get to do that on my social media platform. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I think this got pretty long, but when it comes to social media, it's your time, and I don't want you to waste it. Take care.